there was no growth in 2025, and everyone was just like, yeah, this isn't cool. And I think that beat up of 2025 across business owners and salespeople has now impacted their mood for 2026. The majority now expect economic recovery no earlier than mid-2026 or 2027.
A lot of SME business owners and business owners in general don't understand their numbers. If you want to use the economy as your number one risk or barrier, there'll always be something happening in an economy that won't suit you. You've got to actually just adapt to the economy that you're in. The 9th edition of the Indicator 2026 Mood of the Sales Leader has come out, and in 40 pages there are some very, very interesting pieces of data. Phil, we thought we might pull a few of those out for the listeners.
Yeah, this email popped into the inbox earlier in the week, and I get their emails. I think I've subscribed now for probably about a year, and I got the 2025 report, and I thought, man, there's some good insights here, and it's always good to, as accountants, to broaden our knowledge base, because it can't all be debits and credits, and we've got to actually understand what's happening in the world, and what a better world to understand than the world of sales, because we love a pipeline.
We do.
And just a sense of what has gone on for 2025 and what people are expecting for 2026. And I think the report is some validation that the lads are right, that our crystal balls are indeed well polished, and everything that we were talking about in 2025 is now supported by data from actual people on the front line doing sales.
Well, who would have thought a couple of cowboys might get some things right every now and then?
Who would have thought?
So this, for context, they go out and they interview New Zealand business owners of all scale and sales teams and leaders, and then mash all that data together and then present some of it. So it's done late 2025 or early 2026. Do we know when they do it? But it's based on the prior year, right?
Yeah, I'd say late 25, and they collate it, probably use a little bit of AI, get somebody to put some cute little wee graphs together once they've collated the data. But hey, look, I'm not saying this in jest. Big shout out to the crew at Indicator for putting this together. And they do a big presentation, because I did get the email, do you want to come along? No, I just want to have the report and the data, guys, so that we can talk about it. But man, there were 691 businesses that were surveyed, or respondents rather. So that would be people across various sales roles. Of those 691, 56% of them were from New Zealand. And they range in businesses from $100 million plus all the way down to less than $1 million. But with us talking about SME businesses, the insights and the takeaways, I think, are still relevant. With, I thought, quite an impressive 43% of the businesses surveyed $10 million or less in turnover.
Nice.
So it's a reasonable chunk of the business market.
And so this report is New Zealand specific.
New Zealand
on those
specific,
who
yeah.
answered.
So they delete the findings in Australia. Apparently the Australian report comes out in the next few weeks.
Okay.
So it might be interesting to do maybe a cheeky wee follow-up to go, how's Australia performing compared to New Zealand? And I think a cheeky little wee initial insight is a comment that they've made here is the widening Trans-Tasman gap that Australia in 2025 outperformed New Zealand.
Far out. It's probably not surprising to many people. I saw there's some chat at the moment about whether New Zealand should become a state of Australia, which is obviously not going down too well. But I think it's interesting that we're starting the conversation here on that in New Zealand. Australia might not even be too keen, to be honest. But let's see where that convo goes.
They probably wouldn't be too keen, because it would bring down probably the value of the Australian dollar, probably bring down their GDP, might increase their unemployment rate. Yeah, it doesn't look good for Australian stats.
No. Right. So let's have a look
Ripping
at some
into
of the 2025 pieces of data or stats or info in there that stood out for you, mate. And then we'll have a look at the 2026 after.
Mate, what really stood out for me was they talk about it here of a sideways shuffle. So confirmation that of the companies that they got the data from, only 41% reported growth. So flat, basically 50-50 between growth and no growth. Confirmed what we saw across the stats from our friends rather at our Stats New Zealand, although we're still waiting probably for data from mid-2025 to be updated and then re-updated to confirm that GDP was indeed flat or even negative. So that wasn't surprising. But the biggest finding that's come out of this that I saw was in 2025, 60% of sales leaders expected New Zealand to emerge from the recession in the second half of 2025. So if we cast our mind back to late 2024, it was beating the drum from these economists that I must point out are all wrong. And I think the only ones that are right who aren't economists are us. And it was the survive till 25. And we got to the beginning of 2025 and this collective sigh of relief of we've made it. And this is our year. And it didn't turn out to be that way. There was no growth in 2025 and everyone was just like, yeah, this isn't cool. And I think that beat up of 2025 across business owners and salespeople has now impacted their mood for 2026, with them saying that the majority now expect economic recovery no earlier than mid-2026 or 2027.
Sheesh.
Yeah, so if I was Christopher Luxoff, I'd be very nervous.
Yeah, and then you've got, since doing this, I'd imagine you've got interest rates actually increasing and more chat about that too, which I think is part of what people were using to say, oh, the back end of 2025 will be better because interest rates will be, on average, lower, so there'll be more money in the back pocket. And I think that is then what people are then saying again for 2026. Well, hopefully it just gets better in the back end of 2026. But now we're hearing, okay, interest rates may increase, which I think, I'm hearing individuals say that back to me, where they're obviously learning that and actually seeing it take place, which is then, again, I think going to put nerves back into a lot of Kiwi households.
Yeah, absolutely. The other piece here, most exporters achieved revenue growth. And apparently the tariffs in the US didn't have a massive impact on export sales for those businesses. No surprise, South Island, Canterbury in particular, rockstar economies. And that still, I think, continues to be the case. And the other thing that they've highlighted here as an industry is agriculture. Obviously, with a core focus of that down in the South Island, that is the outperforming part of the country.
Well, I saw two things that I thought you may be interested in, and the listeners may be interested in too. And one of those
New
was,
model Range Rover. Ford Ranger.
oh no, they never really impressed me because there's so many of them in New Zealand. They're just bloody everywhere. Two things. One was a graph showing the arrears of credit, so people getting behind on their loans around New Zealand, and basically the South Island is a picture of good health when it comes to credit. And then you get into the north and it is ugly. There is red, orange.
Red like a rash.
Yeah. So I think we've been banging on about this last year too. Okay, the economy's doing well down there. We've even tailored some of our marketing differently to different parts of the country, knowing that the economy is not just the same thing. Regions are different. You've got different industries. And I think people need to be mindful of that as they go into, hopefully, some form of economic recovery.
Using a bit of AI to alter our voices for the Invercargill listeners to roll the R's.
And we sound more excited down there and we can get ahead, whereas in other regions that are struggling, okay, we know it's tough out there. So you got to change your messaging. Secondly, tractor recovery. We love a good tractor stat. There were 169 new tractors registered in December, the most for a December month since 2022. That is now 8 straight months of year-on-year increases. And apart from the pandemic recovery, that is the most positive it's been since 2019. So again, a clear stat from the farming or ag sector that they're willing to invest into capital. Because what do we see with SMEs? Well, when the economy gets tight, when they don't have confidence, they dial back asset purchases, they dial back hiring. So farming and ag, they're obviously going the other way, going, okay, I do have the confidence to buy new machinery.
Brilliant. Just buy some John Deere shares.
Mate, Caterpillar shares as well have gone absolutely crazy.
They've gone nuts.
Yeah, I think they're up 100% in recent times.
Wow.
Recent times being probably over 12
This is not investment advice.
No, of course not.
Because if you follow the Heartland share price, you'll see why we don't give share recommendations.
Don't worry, they're off the bottom, mate. They're about $1.24, I believe. I'm still 50% of the way from being break even. Anyway.
The other fascinating insight that came through in the report that I picked up on was the length of the sales cycle and the indecisiveness and slow decision making through 2025.
I feel like some guys might have warned people about that.
Who do you think that could have been? Oh, hello. But we saw it ourselves. We came off of that real bubbly, frothy economy where people were just like, yep. They had confidence. There was money floating around. There was easy access to credit. They were making decisions. And I guess the economy, the housing market was frothy back then. People were feeling good. Prices were going to the moon. And it's just like, buy. And then all of a sudden it falls off of a cliff and then people just retrench. And we saw that particularly with a lot of the advisory type work that we do, just all of a sudden kind of on reflection when we were looking at it, dried up. And it was just like, man, this feels harder to get a yes out of people. And when we do get a yes, it felt good, but it took so much longer.
Mm.
And now we're starting to see coming into early 2026, there has been a noticeable shift. But from this report, that to get to a yes is taking much longer. Then the other thing that salespeople are reporting is the importance of price in 2025. It was all lowest price is going to win. And in a meeting earlier this week, last week, whenever it was, with a client, and going through and just looking at some of the work that they're doing and going, okay, this is a project, what's your margin on this? And then going, oh, gee, that's quite low. And going and knowing that in prior years when the economy was frothier, the margin was significantly higher. And it all is on the back of having to adjust their pricing to respond to the change in market conditions. And it's just like, wow, this is real, that in order to win jobs, we actually need to refine our pricing.
And the thing that scares us about that, being two leading accountants around the country, Phil, self-proclaimed, is that a lot of SME business owners and business owners in general don't understand their numbers. So then when they get into discounting, they don't understand the impact to their gross profit. And then eventually it turns into a cash flow issue. And then they come to us and say, oh, we're running out of money. And we go, yeah, because we've got to work back through the steps of how that's happened. You've still got to pay those loans. You've still got to pay for those overheads, but you basically sold the same stuff at a lower margin. There's not enough margin to sustain this. And this, I think, is partly why we've seen so many liquidations in 2025 and that at record highs, is because people simply don't have enough margin in their product for it to be sustainable, or their service to be sustainable longer term. And they're finally having to go to that realization part of their mind of, oh, this business actually can't work at these margins. I've got to stop doing this. And that's just the end cycle of that. It's a bit like me getting to the stage where you go, I don't know if I should be playing football every Saturday and training twice a week. The body can't handle it. You're going to have to pick something else.
Yeah. And again, recent conversations with other clients, exactly that. From the businesses have been geared to the frothy times based on X percentage of margin. And it's just like, gee, the economy hasn't turned. Our plans aren't actually happening as what we'd anticipated. And it's just like, oh, gee, one particular business is, okay, if we get to X point, what's your plan B? And they're like, we've been thinking about that. It's like, okay, good, right, well, let's actually put some numbers behind it and come up with what that looks like. Are we subletting the premises? Are we trying to get out of the lease? Are we going to make some redundancies? Coincidentally, did you see that this week? Te Wharewhare. Huge big head office redundancies. Did I see 300 and something?
Yeah, 270, I think. Yeah.
Jobs or something are up for thing. And I read that and I'm like, great, we spoke about this last year, just waiting for my next one to come through to get the trifecta in New Zealand, still waiting. We've got a few months to go. But yeah, right sizing the business. That was the same conversation with another business owner. They're carrying a big fixed cost on their P&L of lease with office space, warehousing, all of that kind of stuff. And the business is not operating at that space. How do we right size for the business for the top line performance and the gross profit that it's actually generating? So yeah, that's been some interesting discussions and just shows the impact of managing the margin, having the awareness of what's going on in the business.
Even on that warehouse example, I'm fairly sure a couple of lads said, you watch, more people are going to explore offshoring and it's going to become more normalized. And we're even seeing that with SMEs as well, where instead of rehiring in New Zealand, they're going, okay, maybe we'll go 20, 30 hours and use someone who can do this. And they're not in New Zealand, they're anywhere in the world.
Yeah.
And I think we're going to see more of that as well. On that sales cycle piece, that's what I think is frustrating for people. And especially SMEs, they don't have a good follow-up process or muscle where, they are going, oh, I've followed them up once. And sometimes once isn't enough when you're trying to convince someone that, or have them ready to do their thing, And a reminder again that in early 2025, we were saying, hey, some of our clients are following up old prospects from a year ago and starting to get some yeses. It could be a good idea to do that. This week, it's now 2026. I've talked to a client about that. At the back end of 2025, they've gone and done that. Phone call 1, off. Phone call 2, nah, don't want it. Phone call 3, Oh, thanks for getting back in touch. Could you please resend the quote? Yeah, we are a bit closer to getting going with that now.
Perfect.
Bang.
Well,
Doesn't make the calls, doesn't get one yes out of three.
it still surprises me the amount of times that we have to go on about this. And the word that comes to my mind again after some conversations in recent weeks with business owners, I get a sense that there's some timidness or that fear of rejection piece of just not wanting to put yourself out there. You might go so far as to say you're pussies. Um, that is just like, well, you've put something out to the market. Like, we know that your business is relationship based or that you've got a degree of influence. Get some FaceTime. You might not enjoy having the FaceTime conversations or getting on the phone or shooting the shit over a cup of coffee. But if that's what it takes to win your next or get your next yes, you got to put yourself in those uncomfortable positions.
100%. And we should get more comfortable with that being actually the thing to do and it being comfortable.
Mm.
Following up someone who's inquired in your business around doing business with you, that shouldn't be uncomfortable. I get that it can feel uncomfortable. It's actually very normal to check in with them, see when they're ready, see if they have all of the information. Remember that they are inquiring to your business about you helping them in some way, shape, or form. So remove the emotion that following them up or pestering them or reaching back out to them is a bad thing. It is not.
And mate, on that, it's just jogged my memory. The data backs this up. On page 17 of the report, it's headed Performance Development. Trust wins deals. Brand and people edge out product superiority and price. And you build trust by getting in front of people. That it's like, have a relationship. If there's a relationship, there's going to be trust. And I think if that's missing, you're going to have a hard time getting a yes from somebody. So you're going to have to put yourself into those positions to earn the trust.
And interestingly, I recall a couple of cowboys also talking about how it's going to be really important to do branding and how a lot of our clients that have strong brand, rather than just marketing saying, hey, buy this, we want you to buy this, we're doing a bit better than our clients and business owners that we speak to that don't necessarily have a strong brand.
Mm.
So working on your brand is a good thing to do. Oh, but how can we do that? I don't know. I feel like a couple of guys also bang on about maybe sending out emails, doing forms of branding marketing, getting your name out there, getting in front of people.
Mm.
Crazy. What does that lead to? Trust. What does that do? Speed up the buying cycle. Wow. Maybe we do know a thing or two.
I mean, a crazy thought. I came into the office earlier this week because I had this harebrained idea that I had in the morning. And I was like, talk to you about it. And then by the end of the day, the email had been punched out. And we spoke about it. It's just like, it's either something's going to come of it or nothing's going to come of it. But at least we're putting ourselves out there.
And nothing will definitely come of it if we don't do anything about it.
Exactly.
So we might as well put it into the universe and see what does come of it.
See what happens.
I
Stay
guarantee
tuned.
something comes from that.
So do I.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not a matter of if, it's just when.
When. Yeah.
Yeah. Because it does talk, it does resonate. So stay tuned. Yeah, that's kind of what I picked up from 2025. And I guess the data, like a lot of the businesses that are probably listening to this are the SME businesses, which are the cool businesses that we enjoy dealing with. And we recognize and understand that these businesses aren't always necessarily well resourced, like these big corporates that are full of C-suite dick swingers that have got the resource of a dedicated sales and marketing team. More often than not, when you're in a business that might be $5 million or less, you just don't have the money to go out splashing around on a business development manager or a salesperson. It is up to you as the business owner. So it's then going, how do we spend time or dedicate time across a day, a week, a month into the business development of working on our business, focused on sales, pipeline, marketing, all of the stuff that we're talking about.
It's funny because just a reflection, this week I've had 3 meetings with 3 clients and all 3 have got themselves to a position where they're able to get off of the tool. So they're doing that transition of I went out on my own and we start and then we hire, but then the team gets busy, then they're training the team and you're kind of juggling everything, but then you as the business owner don't feel like you're getting the reward because it's all just gotten busier and faster and admin, but you're not getting rewarded. They've all managed to kind of get themselves to that next stage where then they've got to take a little bit of a step back and really get the team working. And all 3 can identify, oh shit, my role is sales. That's what I need to do. Sales and business development.
Yeah.
3 very, very different industries, 3 different parts of the country. And one even said to me, I said, okay, what do you think the best use of your time is in this business? And I said, well, what's become really clear is the more time I spend off of the tools, the business does better. And it's easy for us to laugh about,
Yeah.
right? Because it's like, yeah, that is the light bulb.
Yeah.
But it's such a hard transition from, but I know if I swing this hammer, if I do this thing, if I, do the doing, I know I'm going to get paid. But if I do these things over here, I don't know if I get paid, but I trust that eventually we will. And one's really working on the asset and on the business. The other is working, on the revenue and having the bills paid in the here and now. So I think it does take a big trust that it can work.
And I think it's that story, that way of thinking is that investment into your future self. That by working into the business, you are working on the asset. So like was what we spoke about, like if you're working in the business, all we're trying to do is protect income. Whereas if we're working on the business, not only are we protecting future income, we're protecting the future value of the business, the asset value, because we've got to remember always that a business is an asset that's worth something that we can sell. And the other way of perhaps telling the story about investing into your future self, Heartland shares. I mean, you're constantly investing, dollar cost averaging. It's got to come up at some point, surely.
Well, we will find out, and I'll keep everyone posted.
I did see a headline. I didn't read the article, but I saw Kryman have got a hold on dividends for the next few years.
3 years.
No, a few years.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Not like
Think.
just one.
And I forgot to mention to you, I was just like,
Never a good
jig.
sign, is it?
I'm like, what's going on in there? But the final thing on 2025, the pain points that a lot of people spoke to were that the highlighting as being external, being the economy or the state of the economy is the number one issue or challenge that salespeople faced. Then the second was the decision-making cycle that was spoken about earlier, and then 3, reduced budgets, which was part of that pricing piece.
Yeah, and for me, on the sales cycle piece and then the economy, the question is to potential clients and prospects when you're talking to them, do you have all the information you need to make a decision? If we can drill that into our head to start asking people, then it decreases we're in the gray area. Did they get it? Did they not? Do they like it? Did they not? Find out. Is it a yes? Is it a no? They need all the info to start with for it to then be a yes. If they don't have it, well, then give them that info. If it's a no, fucking cheers, I'm on to the next one.
I reckon that question is probably, as part of your sales process, is one of the biggest gems at the end of a sales call. Do you have all of the information to be able to make a decision? And I didn't ask that question in that particular way, but along those lines in some recent chats with some prospective business people wanting to work with us. And basically like, yeah, no, we don't have anything else. We'll come back to you in the next day or week or so. But no, it's all good. It's like, great. Okay. I've done everything. You know, the pricing, everything that we've got to offer. It's either a yes or a no. Go away and come back. Happy days.
Yeah, nice. And then from there as well, you can say, okay, well, if we don't hear from you within 24 hours or the day, we will send you an invoice and assume that the sale is a yes. Don't do that. And yeah, for me as well, only 41% of companies reported growth in 2025, and most of that growth was under 10%. So maybe stop beating yourself up if you're reading the bloody Deloitte Fast 200 or something going, holy shit, these guys are doing 200% revenue growth and we're only doing this, I'm a failure. No, you're still in the fight. And I think that's a little bit of our message too. I think sometimes we may, for the people who are only recently finding us, might hear us and think, oh, these guys are just saying that it's actually easy out there and that, just if you're not doing these things, what are you doing? Really, we're trying to encourage people to take action and to do something and to hang in there and not buy into this, like, oh, it's all over and there's nothing, like it's all out of my control. And you just can't live like that in business. It's not going to work.
And I'm pleased you raised that, because that number one pain point of people blaming the economy, there was still 41% of businesses that grew.
Yeah.
That's what I took out from that. So there's the people that are sit back and, oh, I'm not meeting my sales budget this month or this quarter. Oh, it's the economy. But actually there's 41%. That's a material amount. Like, Audit New Zealand days, the green pen's coming out on 41%.
100%.
There's 41% of businesses that are growing, and we've spoken this year already and so much last year. The opportunity is out there if you're prepared to go and look for it.
Yeah, no, I feel like a lot of Kiwi people have lost their curiosity and their ability to go, you know what? Like my brain, when you said that, went to, man, if we weren't growing, I'd want to find out from some accountants that are growing, what are you guys doing?
Yeah.
I wouldn't have a big enough ego to let that stop me. I
Mm.
would be on the phone to a couple saying, "Can we grab a coffee? Can we grab lunch? I'll pay for it. I want to pick your brain for half an hour. Can we even have a Zoom call? What are you doing? Like, what am I missing here?" And
Mm.
we also talk about this. Ring someone in the South Island if you're in the North Island. Talk to them. What are you
Mm.
doing? Tell me what you guys are doing. There'll be a nugget there. We had a client fly to fucking Europe to learn from someone.
Yes.
And and they'll be listening to this pod. They went all the way from New Zealand to Europe because they're like, wow, we see what they're doing internationally and that
Mm.
looks great. Well, why don't you go and ask them? And so they had a call and then I think they went and met with them,
Yeah,
you know?
that was out the gate, eh? So for any accountants that are listening, you want to catch up with Luke, it's a coconut flat white with a hazelnut shot.
And $1,000 donation to a charity of my choice.
Yeah.
2020.
Is the TAB a charity?
Ah, God. I have to look that up. It's definitely not registered, but it acts like one. It redistributes the income. Big goals start with planning, and that's why we run 90-day business planning sessions one-on-one with aspirational business owners. Together, we help you set clear targets and start taking action straight away, and action on the things that matter, like pricing, margin, cash flow, ideal customers, and making sure that you're moving the needle to get closer to where you want to be. We've got tons of strong Google reviews in this space, so go and check those out. This could be perfect for you if you're after no fluff business planning and are keen on accountability. If you want to apply to book your 90-day plan, go to nextadvisory.nz and let's see if this is a good fit for you. Right, 2026, mate. What have we got in there? Do we have much data for what people are looking forward to this year?
Oh, the not data, but just the insight or the feeling of the people, which I raised or mentioned at the top of the pod, was just the overwhelming majority of people that are seeing that the meaningful economic recovery remains elusive, with current suggestions of a turning point being the second half of this year or even 2027. That surprised me.
I
That
wonder
really surprised me.
what an economic recovery is that people are expecting. For me, I've kind of learnt that economies go in cycles,
Yeah.
and how many times as well have we said, it's not going to be like it was in COVID where there's just all this money.
I'm
And
pleased you said, because that's exactly what my mind went to, and I've raised that on a few occasions with with business owners around what we're now seeing. Like, this is normal business. We've got to remember that those years of sugar being thrown around in the way of easy access cash, that growth rate is just not sustainable. And I think, with the greatest respect to the salespeople that are probably being interviewed as part of this as employees rather than being business owners, they just want an easy sale. Quick and easy. I've met my target, happy day as I carry on. I'm going to have my next coffee meeting,
Mm,
rather than potentially having to, fuck, I've got to slog my guts out to get a sale across the line. Like, that's how it should be.
mm.
Like, you've got to work for the sale. You've got to fight for it. And I think in earlier years, it's probably just come too easy, and they're probably feeling a little bit beaten up that they now have to get into the trenches and do some work. And they're like, oh yeah, we want it to be easy for it to be easy. That's probably not going to happen until later in the year. And it's just like, yeah, well, how actually hungry and good are you as a salesperson if you're going to be defeatist?
I was talking to a business owner recently, and they said to me, because I was quizzing them on how you're dealing with the no's and the rejection, and they're like, well, it helps when you get a yes. I'm like, correct. And they're like,
Yeah.
I've come to learn it's actually a bit of a game. I'm like, now we're cooking,
Yeah.
because like it's not always easy, and business isn't always easy. And I think people took their eye off the ball a little bit. The funny thing is everyone's banging on about, oh, record liquidations. Yeah. What were the liquidations in 2022? Oh, no idea. Yeah, you don't know. Record lows,
Mm.
regression to the mean. Eventually things swing back around.
Yeah.
And our minds are so good at finding the negative and finding the negative data to back up our shit. But, that we want to do. But in here, I saw 9%, only 9% feel bullish about 2026. Well, shit, man, you might call me a Super Bowl. I don't know. Like, the things that we're seeing
Yeah.
and the action that we take, I can't help but be confident for ourselves, but for a number of our clients as well. It's just and I think you need that feeling to start with, but then back it up with action. It's not, okay, I feel like this year's going to be better, and then I'll just do all the same shit, or even worse, less.
Mm.
Back it up with more offers, back it up with action.
At the end of 2025, I was excited for 2026 because we had a ripper 2025. It was a great year.
Mm.
And I was optimistic about what 2026 was going to look like. I am now absolutely fizzed up firing like, holy moly, this is going better already than what I had actually anticipated of being a
Mm.
good year. So it does, and I guess that optimism and that jazzed up comes back to all of the work that's been put in prior years. This hasn't happened just because there's been a switch flicked on by Christopher Luxoff and his crew, or the Reserve Bank going, hey, look, business is now better for everybody. You guys can have your share of the pie. It's the work that's been put in consistently, showing up every single day, putting in the reps, as you say, on some of the stuff. I've gone, right, and it now pays dividends. And we're starting to see people who are tuning into the podcast or the YouTube content for the first time and just going, oh my God, this stuff is so good. I've learned so much. And it's
Mm.
just like, great, there's going to be more of those business owners out there. Let's chat.
Yeah, I actually had an epic email. I don't think I copied you into a reply from Al. So shout out to Al who listens on YouTube and was just recently found the pod and is loving your work, guys. Big message just about how powerful it's been and their story and them getting after it. So it's cool to see the people that are being
Amazing.
inspired by it. But yeah, I think we've referred more work this week to other accounting firms. We actually have. I'm pretty sure we've referred more work to other accounting firms this week than we've taken on ourselves. Like that's how
Oh,
bullish we are
yeah.
about our own future prospects. But
Mm,
again, like Phil said, we've had to create and build that for ourselves. You can't do that from a place of scarcity
mm.
and a place of we might not get another inquiry. We have to back that we can do that. But the on the bullish piece, 9%, but 74% are planning growth budgets for 2026. That excites me a bit that people are going, you know what, maybe we are like growth back on,
Mm.
because I think it takes a a belief that there is growth there to then invest into trying to get that growth. What'll be fascinating to see is those 74%, as it continues to be grindy, do they dial back on it? Or do they go, this isn't what we thought it was going to be?
That's right. Like, there's a mismatch there, I think, maybe, unless I'm misinterpreting how it's done. But there's budgets that have been growth budgets that have been set by a management team, and then there's the salespeople that actually have to achieve it, and only 9% of them are bullish.
Yeah.
So there's that internal mismatch of going like, well, you guys need to actually grow this business because we've had flat growth and we can't handle this for much longer. We've got shareholders that need a return, and you've got salespeople there going, oh yeah, this is hard. What am I going to do? I haven't had to go to work and actually convert some no's to a yes in a little while because it's just been so easy just to get yeses.
Mm.
And people are just like, oh. So I think, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how it unfolds over the next, 9, 10 months.
I had lunch this week actually with somebody in sales, and they would be in one of these roles that would get surveyed. And unfortunately for them, they've got to sit in meetings where they're talking with sales managers from different parts of Australia. And then here they are in New Zealand. And I think the Aussie guys are looking at him going, why is things not happening for you, man? What's going on?
Yeah.
And he's going, man, it is hard. Like I'm making calls and I'm following up, and it is just tricky to get meetings. So yeah, it'd be a very hard role to have when the economy is tough, and I could see how it would beat people up to the point of, I don't know how long I can do this for, but
Mm.
we all know, as you said before, you got to do the reps and hang in there.
Sure do. It's fascinating like that 74% that have got the revenue growth budgets, but then looking ahead to 2026, the state of the economy is still the number one concern for sales leaders. So it's that external factor of just rolling over and go, oh, this is actually too hard. I can't achieve this growth budget because of the economy.
Gosh, like if you want to use the economy as your number one risk or barrier, there'll always be something happening in an economy that won't suit you.
Mm.
And then you've got to what's the saying you learn as you grow up as a kid, where it's about you set your sail to the wind or something like that, where, that.
I think I don't know it word for word, but I think I know what you're talking about. I probably didn't hear that one.
Yeah, okay, maybe it was a
Didn't
scout.
grow up in a sailing family.
Yeah, I don't know how I know it. But you've got to actually just adapt to the economy that you're in, because I guarantee you in 2026 there'll be another thing where you go, I didn't expect that. 2025 it was tariffs and inauguration day or something that everyone was being. I don't even know how to spell inauguration. Maybe I do if I put my mind to it. But there'll be another thing in 2026 where they go, that's the headwind for the economy. Well, for fuck's sake, like learn how to set your sail to move with the economy where it's going. Find a way to articulate your value and, gee, I don't want to use the word, mate, but pivot in some regards with your offering.
Wow. I was
Wow.
thinking, gee, the old corporate bingo lingo. I hate that word, eh?
It's just
Anyway, but got me thinking. I reckon to win in 2026 is an ability to make a decision fast.
hmm
I think at the moment people talking about bottoming out of interest rates. Let's time the market, lock that in. Same with house pricing. Let's actually carry that thinking on in terms of overall pricing. In some of the discussions with business owners, I think we're now at the bottom of the market for business pricing. That if you know you want to go out and spend money on something, commit now. Because I think one thing is for sure, prices are going to go up this year because there are businesses that are out there, as we were talking about earlier, that are on tight gross profit margins. They aren't sustainable for too long. The only way that that's going to be able to be fixed is prices are going to have to go up.
Well, one of the things in here that really stood out for me, mate, and really had me leaning into my computer going, am I reading that right? Now, there was a bit of a section around marketing insights in the fix, and the fix for sales plus marketing. The top answer for improving alignment and trust and for improving marketing was working closer on content creation. Well, are there a couple of dickheads that are in the accounting industry that are pumping out more content than most businesses in New Zealand and doing it in a boring industry like accounting?
Mm,
Are people just waking up to this opportunity?
mm,
Fascinating to see that that is what people are voting for to potentially be that number one piece. But if we unpack it further, okay, if there's more awareness, if there's more trust, does that then make the sale easier for these salespeople?
hmm
Probably. Hard to sell something when people are going, who are you? If they know you, potentially easier to make that sale happen. And I do think that this is where, again, you've got to set your sale to the market that you're in. Part of why, with our strategy is, okay, go wider, add value, and eventually we find new people, we'll find the SMEs, they'll come into our world, and some of them will take the information and act on it themselves, and happy days, we have a better country, better economy, better business owners, they'll live better lives, and they'll say, that was great, thanks, lads. And some will say, can you teach me? Can we go faster? Can I work with you? Can I work directly with you? And that's exactly what we see in our business. So we've executed over years what people are now thinking, maybe that could be the thing to fix our marketing and our sales.
yeah. I mean, for people tuning in for the first time, they've got a fair bit of content to catch up on.
Oh, mate, I think that's probably what puts some people off. They realize, like, oh, wow.
Where do I start?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Just start with something.
yeah, absolutely. One of the key findings here on the marketing insights: 2/3 of sale leaders believe that their marketing team is average to poor in
Oh,
securing leads. And I
oh,
thought, oh,
that's brutal.
that's a bit rich because I bet you if we surveyed the marketing team, they would probably say 2/3 of the sales leaders are shit at converting the leads that they get into sales
Yeah.
because they're all whinging about the economy.
Well, you actually see this too in small marketing agencies where they get leads for people, but then they get frustrated because they're not converting the leads, and then they get tempted to dig in and go, well, once we give you the lead, like it's a good qualified lead, and then you're not getting it across the line. Something's broken here. We think it could be you, and they go, no, the leads are shit, and they end up with this battle.
Yeah.
Of, now, do we need to teach you how to do the selling part
Mm.
as well? So I think it's something that plays out a lot of the, okay, where's the problem? Point the finger.
Yeah, and that's it. And then another finding here in line with the rest of the report: a lack of budget is the biggest constraint for marketing right now, making it harder to find growth in a tough market. In the SME world, I call bullshit on that
Yeah.
100% every day of the week because um, uh, having a budget or an external factor is not an excuse to getting a lead. There is so much stuff that you can do out there that has got zero or low cost. You don't need to go off and have the jazziest marketing agency going all of this blooming SEO and
Mm.
bloody AdWords, whatever it is. A simple email, a phone call, arranging a meeting, low to no cost to get in front of people. Remember, we said it back earlier in the pod, trust and brand are two key factors in securing a sale. You're going to get trust and the brand awareness by getting yourself out there, and you don't need a huge budget to be able to do that.
In 2025, 91% of companies invested no more than 5% of sales revenue into marketing. Only 5% rate marketing as excellent at driving leads. Now, I reckon we we kind of loosely work to that 5% rule in our business, and we're probably actually beyond that. So I think we're probably 7 to 8% usually. I think we've got to 12% in some years, 10% in others, which I think would surprise people. But if I'm reading that and I'm in an industry where I'm trying
3% more than any other accountant.
to about to say so, yeah, we write some blogs, mate. I'd be looking at that going, you're telling me 91% of companies invested no more than 5%. If I'm a go-getter and if I can hold my breath a bit longer, I'm going, I might spend 10 because you're instantly going to become more recognizable and get in front of more people than your competitors and outbid them for awareness and attention. And what do we know that drives? Just what Phil said, trust, and therefore eventually the sale. So it's quite scary to think that people will invest 50% of their take-home pay into their property. But if you'd say, oh, why don't we invest 10% of your sales into marketing? Oh, hang on. What about, 91% are going 5%? Is that a sign that we don't know how to do marketing well or haven't understood how the return on that works? Or do we not have enough margin in our product that we in New Zealand was strangled by the fact of I've got to be so careful what I spend because if I lose that, I see it as lost and I can never get it back. And I need this thing to be profitable to help pay for my high cost of living in New Zealand.
Well, I don't think it raises the point that New Zealand business owners just aren't risk takers. They're looking for the $1 odds on a spend to go, yep, that's safe. I know I'm going to get a return rather than go, I'll go for the $2 or the $5 return into my future and then go, yep, I'm going to do that consistently. Boom, I'm going to get a payday, and you got 10x returns for blooming years into the future.
Yeah.
People just don't have the belief in themselves on what their future state could look like. And I think you've got to believe in yourself and your business and what you're doing to be able to invest into it. Otherwise, all you're doing is just focusing on the income and then going minimizing expenses to maximize the income.
I was talking to a business owner recently. They posted an organic piece of content. It started doing well. They clicked boost on Meta. The marketers listening to this will be like, oh no. But anyway, I said, how'd it go? And they boosted it for, it was single digits, no, double digits, sorry, not triple digits of what they spent. They're like, oh yeah, I got 6 inquiries from it. I'm like, oh shit.
Wow.
I'm like, hey mate, dial that up, get that out there further. The answer is there. The data is all there. And I think that's what we do though. We see something that works and then we go, okay, that worked. I better go and do something else. But often, as we often talk to business owners about, if it's working, do the thing again. So that client, for instance, that rings the 3 old leads, he's got now a job to quote again. So the answer isn't, okay, let's go explore all this stuff and posting on LinkedIn. No, let's ring the other 97 leads that we've got, and then we'll go look at the LinkedIn and the next shiny object. But we've probably got a podcast at some stage to do too around how once you get business working well, it becomes boring. But that is the boring piece. Now ring the other 97.
Yeah.
It's working. There's 1 and 3 in there. So let's ring them. That's boring, but it's the thing to do.
Yeah, spot on. Mate, I don't have much more to add on to this one. Have you got any other marketing insights? I think for a couple of cowboys, this data from the Mood of the Sales Leader report, it kind of just gives us validation that, we know what we're talking about.
Yeah, mate, and I hate to say we told you so, but we did. The other couple of stats, mate, and then we'll get out of here. 40% had no development at all in 2025. That's into their salespeople. Average sales spend per salesperson dropped from roughly 3,000 to 1,500. What? It's harder and you're investing less into your people? Are you serious?
No, but I read that and I'm like, where does the responsibility for self-development kick in? I spoke to a business owner recently and they're just like, I'm big on the self-development thing. And that's how they've come across us.
Yeah.
They've got into the podcast, starting to get into the YouTube channel. And they go, oh, this interests me. I'm going to go and learn about this. Oh, now I've got an awareness about this. I want to learn more about that. And it's just like, great. Why can't we have more people like this that have got a little bit more ownership of what their future state is going to look like rather than going, my company's not investing in me, so I'm going to use that as an excuse for my poor performance, rather than going, there's a stack load of resource out there in the world. AI has come up leaps and bounds in a very short period of time. What can I do to change my current state?
Yeah, and the thing I think businesses that do have salespeople need to be aware of is that if you're not investing in them, somebody else will be, and the real self-starters and the ones that are doing their own self-development, they're going to learn that there's a better opportunity because selling they'll just move into a different role where the commission suits them better
Yep.
or the opportunity is bigger and go, well, I'll just do this over here and I'll learn that and I'll get good at that. Um, the thing that I thought was fascinating, pipeline strength, still weak. Only 6% said their pipeline is strong for 2026.
Mm,
Go back and check out the pipeline podcast. We probably shouldn't get started on pipelines because we'll be another half an hour, but it
will be.
is,
It's just, this podcast is just a massive "I told you so."
yeah, it seems like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think in this, in sort of summary, there's we know 2025 was tough. People expected it to be easier. That's not how life works. It was
Mhm.
grindier than what many people thought. Again, more people quit, more people gave up, more people have been burnt by that. There's therefore more opportunity for those who are still in the race. But remember that now people are thinking about growth. You will be competing with more people.
Mm,
People will naturally be more hungrier. The more we talk about clients having wins, it's going to encourage other people to go, oh shit, maybe I should try that too.
mm,
And at one stage they wouldn't have, but because somebody else have, now they will
mm.
as well. So you will be competing with more people. And I think a lot of people will get to the end of 2027 and they'll go, shit, I wish I really did start in 2024 or 2025 and I didn't wait till 2026 or early 2027 to start doing some of the things that they'll end up doing anyway.
Yeah.
Making the call, sending the email, running the ads, doing the thing, doing the follow-up. And they'll go, oh, have these wins been sitting here the whole time? And the only thing that stopped me was my belief that they weren't there.
Mm. My final comment would be the numbers don't lie. The stats are there. At the end of the day, as we kept on saying before, put yourself out there and put in the reps.